In the shadowed halls of justice, his ghost still lingers, whispering the same unanswerable question: why has truth been buried deeper than the body that carried it? Episode 55 of Truth Frame unravels the assassination of Lasantha Wickrematunge, a thriller of truth, power, and betrayal, and a crime left deliberately open, suspended in time. How long will this wound remain unhealed, and when will the real perpetrators finally face the justice they fled? In the heart of Colombo's morning traffic on January 8, 2009, as city life drummed with routine expectation, the echo of gunshots cracked through the quiet desperation of a man who had long predicted his own death. Lasantha Wickrematunge, editor of the Sunday Leader, fearless journalist, and critic of state corruption, was assassinated in broad daylight, sending shockwaves across Sri Lanka and the international community. But what made this murder far more than a tragic end was what came after, the unfolding of a complex, high-stakes thriller that remains unresolved 16 years later. The editor who challenged power. Lasantha wasn't just a journalist, he was a relentless crusader against tyranny. With his pen as his weapon, he exposed nepotism, corruption, and abuse embedded within the highest echelons of power. His editorials cut deep, calling out military overreach and political impunity during a time when dissent invited death. He knew the cost of truth. Days before his murder, he composed an editorial to be published in the event of his death, a haunting eulogy to journalism itself: when finally, I am killed, it will be the government that kills me. A chilling prophecy, fulfilled with surgical precision. The day truth was silenced. As Lasantha drove to work in his white Toyota, assailants on motorbikes intercepted him near a busy junction. Eyewitnesses recalled the chaos: glass shattering, bodies scrambling, sirens late to the scene. He sustained fatal head injuries and died soon after. No suspects were arrested that day. No immediate explanations followed. Just grief, outrage, and fear. This wasn't an ordinary killing. It was a statement, sharp, cold, and deliberate. A trail of obstruction. Over the years, investigations unfolded like a screenplay riddled with deleted scenes. Whistleblowers, insiders, and investigators spoke of evidence tampering. Critical pages from field notebooks were removed and rewritten. Intimidation. A police officer warned off a junior inspector with the chilling line, "This is Goddess' job. Do you also want to get killed?" Note: "This is Goddess' job," quote, while there are credible reports of intimidation and references to Gotabaya Rajapaksa in connection with Wickrematunge's legal battles, this specific quote is not directly verified in public sources. It may be anecdotal or paraphrased from insider testimony. Nature of the attack. Initial reports described gunshot wounds, but later medical findings suggested blunt force trauma, possibly from a sharp object rather than bullets. Legal reversals. Despite compelling grounds for prosecution, Attorney General Parinda Ranasinghe abruptly dropped charges against 3 key suspects in January 2025. Premananda Udalagama, former Army intelligence officer. Tissa Sugathapala, former Crimes OIC. Prasanna Nanayakara, retired DIG. The AG's office clarified that the dropped charges were related to a separate case involving the abduction of Wickrematunge's driver, not the murder itself. However, critics argue this distinction is misleading and undermines the broader investigation. This move ignited an uproar. Media rights groups, journalists, and civil society decried the decision as judicial capitulation to political pressure. Civil revolt and the cry for justice. protests erupted across Colombo. The Young Journalists Association led marches with banners that screamed, "Who killed Lasantha?" While government spokespeople dodged questions, organizations like the Free Media Movement released blistering statements, condemning what they called a legitimization of impunity. International observers weighed in. Human rights advocates accused Sri Lankan authorities of shielding the powerful and sabotaging the pursuit of truth. The ghost of Lasantha. The power of Lasantha Wickrematunge's voice transcends his death. His legacy isn't a tombstone, it's a challenge. Journalists continue citing his work. His final editorial is taught in classrooms as both literature and warning. In the shadowed halls of justice, his ghost lingers, asking the same unanswerable question: why has truth been buried deeper than the body that carried it? Key sources: Wikipedia, Assassination of Lasantha Wickrematunge, editor of the Sunday Leader, was fatally shot on January 8, 2009, in Ratmalana, Colombo, while driving to work. He had long been a vocal critic of government corruption and military abuses, particularly under President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Wickrematunge had received numerous death threats, and in a prophetic editorial published posthumously, he wrote, "When finally I am killed, it will be the government that kills me." His murder was widely condemned internationally and became a symbol of the collapse of press freedom in Sri Lanka. Global Investigative Journalism Network, who was behind the killing of Lasantha Wickrematunge. Former CID investigator Nishantha Silva uncovered evidence implicating Gotabaya Rajapaksa, then Secretary of Defense, in orchestrating the killing. Silva's investigation revealed a missing notebook, a motorcycle dumped in a lake, and a network of military operatives allegedly involved. The case was later stalled, and Silva fled the country after Gotabaya became president. A civil suit filed in the U.S. by Wickrematunge's daughter was dismissed due to diplomatic immunity. Roar Media, the Lasantha Wickrematunge case, a timeline. This timeline tracks the events leading up to and following the assassination, including the disappearance of Wickrematunge's mobile phone and documents, conflicting autopsy reports, and the lack of progress in the investigation. It also highlights the chilling foresight in his final editorial and the global outcry that followed his death. It has been more than a year since the NPP government, led by President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka, assumed power, yet this murder case remains unresolved, and those responsible have not been brought to justice. Will accountability ever arrive, or will this tragedy be quietly swept under the carpet like so many others before it? If you believe these stories matter, like, reflect, remember and subscribe. Your comments are most welcome. Your support fuels the next frame of truth. Thank you and keep looking for my historical videos.